Okay, so thank you for joining us today to find out a bit more about the North Tyne Combined Authority Youth Employment Small Grants Programme. The Small Grants Programme has been launched to recognise the important work of the voluntary sector in supporting young people who are not currently accessing mainstream or existing employment provision. And the intention of the programme is to bring together key partners to tackle the impact of COVID on youth unemployment. What we're looking for is projects to support that engage and support young people who may be facing additional barriers to accessing mainstream or existing employment services, and to add value and support young people aged between 16 and 24 into accessing existing provision. So the organisations that we're looking to fund through this programme are not-for-profit, voluntary, community and social enterprise sector organisations with a turnover of between 10,000 and 1 million. We are looking for projects that are delivering within Newcastle, North Tyneside and Northumberland. It doesn't have to be in all of those areas, it can be in a small part of one local authority area, or it can be across boundaries, as long as it's within the North Tyne Combined Authority area. And we're hoping to get applications for organisations that have been working with 16 to 24-year-olds for at least 1 year, and who have existing local connections and referral partners in place. So that's referral partners to refer into the funded project, as well as referral partners to refer out into provision. And what we'd really like to see coming forward are projects that encourage a youth voice within the design of the project. So that means having people involved in informing the design of what the project looks like. And we need organisations to have a bank account in the name of the organisation, as well as to have safeguarding policies and insurances in place. We are looking for projects that are working with 16 to 24-year-olds who are not in education or employment currently. Projects don't have to work with a full range of 16 to 24-year-olds, but the young people that are supported have to fall within that age group. And the projects have to be complete by the 31st of March 2023, so there's just over a year to deliver. And we expect some projects where the request for funding is for no more than 25% of the organisation's annual income. And projects should refer young people into mainstream provision or existing provision at some point in the journey through the project. So what we're really looking for is projects that support a culture of progression for young people. So that might be moving towards job centre or further education or into other funded employment provision.
What we're looking here is to provide or add provision to something that works. So examples include evidence-based practices where there's existing learning. So knowing that you can work with young people that have some sort of evidence to show that this is really what's needed. This is what young people want, what they need to be able to sort of progress in their their journey. A navigator role is also important as well, where what you're doing is supporting the individual for what's right for them, rather than what could be like a more of a rigid approach within the program. So it's been able to work with other programs, other provisions and other referral pathways. Also looking at how you're also improving the mental health and well-being of the individual. So really looking at removing barriers such as isolation and loneliness. Looking at programs that have been inspired and co-designed by young people. So where they're feeling heard and they've had a voice, and they can use that to help co-design what this program looks like for you. We're also interested in sort of collaborative solutions, so where you're networking with other groups, other local partners. They could be networks, they could be referral partners, but where you're complementing each other, where you're working together. That's really what we're trying to instill, to have this sort of more forward sort of future cultural sort of shift really in that approach. Looking at digital barriers and how they could be broken down with digital solutions. Looking at local barriers, so that could be language, could be lack of internet facility, for example. It could be that the area in which you're providing this provision is remote. There may be a lack of infrastructure. So trying to make it us aware of what those barriers look like on the ground. Equally sort of underrepresented groups and how you're reaching those individuals. And we're interested in applications that really can't be supported at the moment through other funding. So if you're having real trouble receiving support for this particular project, then we'd like to hear through this particular stream. So the size of grants, we have just over £346,000 available with this programme. We're looking at supporting around 30 organisations with grants of between 5,000 and 30,000. Now they will be there to enhance, develop existing services to 16 to 24-year-olds, but also could be used to test something new where you've got some sort of evidence base behind it that this is what's needed. We expect the average size to be £10,000 roughly, and the amount you can apply is up to 25% of your annual income, but only up to that 30k threshold. Now, what we would like to know, so basically the form, there's an online link, and if you go to the link, there's a straightforward eligibility quiz, which really we're wanting to make sure that you fit the criteria, you've read the prospectus, and that you are eligible to go through to the next phase really. So the eligibility quiz will help do that, and if you answer the questions correctly, it will take you to the application form. Now, if you go to the application form, there are 6 sections that we're wanting to know information about. So these are the 6 here. First is about your organisation. So wanting to know about your experience of working with this target group, looking at your finances. The second is about wanting to know about your details, so who you are with primary and secondary contacts. Third, probably most importantly, is about the project itself. So this is where you're sort of bringing it to life, but making it sort of stand out from others, really. So we're wanting to know, for example, the young people that are being reached, wanting to know the aims of the project, the activities, how intense the project is, the programme, what is it like from a young person perspective. So if you have a customer journey, a simple diagram or a document, that will really help us to understand what that looks like. However, we know there are going to be lots of different elements that will change, but you probably have 3 or 4 different sort of routes through your program, for example. And then sort of how the young people will find out about the program. What's the referral pathway look like? Who are you networking with? And how will you really monitor the difference of that journey of the young person? Looking at the budget. So how much you're actually asking for versus the total cost of the budget, and breaking those costs down by quarters, just to enable us to sort of look through those budgets and ensure that they are sort of fit for purpose, they've been well thought through. Requests over £20,000 will also be asking for milestones, so up to 6 milestones really, just to sort of look at what dates and particular milestones you are looking through that project, but that is only for those sort of grants above that ceiling. And lastly, supporting documents, which is more around sort of the policies and insurances you have in place or will have in place, and also the bank details, so we can just cross-check that is in the same organisation name as the legal entity. And then the next slide really is sort of looking at the timeline. So we're looking at firstly completing the eligibility quiz, working through the application form, which you can save as you work through. But the key date really here is noon on the Friday, 26th of November. That's the date for applications to be submitted. We will then be reviewing those, undertaking some due diligence and decisions as well. And we expect those decisions to be communicated in January. And projects will be looking to probably start around February. And really just to mention, as it was early on in the slide deck as well, that all projects need to be completed by 31st of March 2023. So that's sort of the end of the presentation. And we do have within the prospectus, there are contact details. There's an email address, a phone number. And I think if you have any other additional questions, then please do contact us. And we can then speak to you on a one-to-one basis or through a surgery support, and be able to give you some added value and support to enable you to complete your applications. Thank you very much.